Yes, I'm back. I'm back. Uh, y'all know how I feel about camp doctrine. I don't know why I would want to tag. So I would like to. Sorry, give me one sec. I don't know what's going on with my phone. But I would like to find the 144,000 in scriptures because for some reason we think that they're around today. Thanks for the thumbs up. And let's find 144,000 in scriptures because we feel that they are living today in 2018. So now I say, let's find them. And this is my truck driving book. I left my other one at the house. I take my notes on here and convert it over to my other book. But let's find the 144,000 real fast. Um, this is a prophecy that Christ gave. And he set up on, this is Matthew 24. Y'all know my favorite chapter. He set up on the Mount of Olives. The disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world. We know that where they're supposed to be age, the end of the Mosaic age or the Jewish age. So we know the 144,000 comes around during the end of the age. You can't have one. It's like love and marriage. You can't have one without the other. You can't have the end of the Jewish age, which will be their world. You cannot have the end without the 144,000 being into play. So I want y'all to know that the 144,000 is going to be somewhere around the question, there shall not be left here one stone upon on another that shall not be thrown down. The 144,000 is going to be somewhere around the destruction of the temple in 70 AD. You can't have the end of the age dealing with the destruction of the temple without the 144,000. So let's see who the 144,000 is. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all of the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall come the end. Well, this gospel is going to all nations, and we know that Israel was in all nations. So the 144,000 will be in some of these nations that the gospel went to. But let's keep going on. When you should therefore see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the place, in the holy place, whosoever reader let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Who are the ones that's fleeing into the mountains? The ones listening to Christ. Because the end of the age is coming around. Because the temple is being destroyed, meaning no more Levitical priesthood, no more sacrifices, no more Mosaic covenant, only new covenant from here on out. That's what the point is. So the end of the world or the end of the age is coming with the destruction of the temple. So this 144,000 will actually be the ones who receive the gospel and the ones who flee. So now let's take it to Revelation, where we see those 144,000. I think it's 7, right? Now let's continue to show you that the 144,000 is actually dealing with the destruction of the temple and not nothing in 2018. Revelation 7. And after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. This is not literal wind, this is destruction. Remember, he's seeing a vision. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. Remember, they're holding back four winds. What are those four winds going to do? Hurt the earth and the sea. Saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, neither the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. How are they being sealed? Through the gospel. They are hearing the gospel, they're believing the gospel. The destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD could not have occurred until all of the 144,000 got sealed. Look, and I heard the number of them which were sealed. There were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. The children of Israel had a covenant with the Most High in order that had to be accomplished in order to actually go into start off the new covenant and let the old covenant die off. The old covenant was dying, the new covenant was coming on. The destruction of Jerusalem was the end of the Mosaic era, the Mosaic covenant, or the Jewish age. This is all this is. The 144,000 is a representation of the number of people. Once you go into Chronicles, it was 288,000 that David set up. 144,000 for day service, 144,000 for the night service of the temple. This 144,000 represents the day service that praised the Most High in the temple. It's just a representation. David actually he actually set up the pattern which was going on in heaven. That's why he set up 288,000 people worshiping the Most High. 24,000 each month. Half was worshiping in the day, half was worshiping in the night. Thank you, Priest Banyala from the House of Wisdom. That's my old congregation who actually was able to bring that out. Now I see even more. But anyway, this is just 144,000 from the day service. And all of them are able to partake in the new covenant because they all got the gospel. See, the destruction of the temple could not happen until the gospel went to all nations. Remember, the gospel will be spread to all nations, and then the end will occur. Hurt not the sea, nor the trees, nor anybody, until I have sealed my servants in their foreheads. Once again, the gospel had to be taken to every nation before the end could occur. The destruction occurred when all was sealed in their forehead. They worked hand in hand. This is about the destruction of the temple and the gospel being spread. That's all this is about. It's not. This happened about 2,000 years ago. This is not our time. We don't have to worry about the 144,000. That's not us. That's not going to be us. If we're gonna be anybody, we're gonna be this verse number 9 right here. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and peoples and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. And you might not understand what the palms in their hand is, but this is actually going on during the Feast of Tabernacles. The palms in the hand is one of the things that they did during the Feast of Tabernacles. And what happened in the Feast of Tabernacle? It was a shadow of the Most High coming down to tabernacle with mankind. That's why you have the Lamb being in the midst of the throne shall feed them and shall lead them into living fountains of water, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. Therefore, are they before the throne of God and serve him night and day, or day and night in the temple. See, this is when the Most High is tabernacling with man. And I think it's 11 and 14 maybe, or 14 and 11. Let's see here. I might not be able to find it. Oh, one of my favorite verses. But for some reason I always never know where it's at. It's when it says, "Behold, the kingdoms of our God is with the kingdoms of man." Uh, where we at? I thought it was at 14. Uh, I don't know where it's at. I'm not gonna continue to look for it. I had it marked somewhere. I thought, but that's all that the 144,000 is about. It's about the people getting the gospel and then the end or the destruction happens. Now I got right here also another Feast of Tabernacles. For the Lamb is in the midst of the throne and shall feed them, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. This is actually, sorry, that's the Feast of Trumpets. This is pretty much judgment. This is when the wrath begins. Um, we got Revelations 11, 1 and 2. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple, leave out and measure it not. For it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city they should tread underfoot 40 and 2 months. So we got the 144,000, and we got things dealing with the destruction of the temple. How do we know? We go back to Luke 21, and you have Luke 21. This is the prophecy about the destruction of the temple again. And you got 22. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. What be the days of vengeance? The destruction of the temple. See, verse 5. And some spake at the temple, how adorned with goodly stones and gills, he said. Verse 6. And for these things which ye behold, the days will come in which there shall be left not one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And they asked him, When shall this be? These days, verse 22, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled, including the end of the Mosaic era or the end of the age. But woe unto him that are with child, and with them to give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon his people. Look at verse 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. Hint, hint, Deuteronomy 28:68, Deuteronomy 32. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles till the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled, dealing with the destruction of the temple. That's why you have in Revelations 11:2. But the court, which is inside the temple, which is without the temple, leave out and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 40 and 2 months. When Christ did the prophecy, he said the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. When John did the exact same prophecy, but in a vision style, the vision had it going on for 40 and 2 months. This all thing is about the destruction of the temple. It has nothing to do with 2019 or 2018. And we can keep going. We can keep going. Look, Revelation 14. Sorry. I got, look, verse 16. And he sat up on the cloud to thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And I got Matthew 13:30. Matthew 13:30 says, let's both grow together into the harvest. And in the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather you together first the tares and bind them in the bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. Look, they're being burned. How was the temple destroyed? It was destroyed by fire. I'm sorry, y'all. I know we wanted something major and we wanted it to be about our time, but the end of the world is about their time. It's not has nothing to do with us. But is the feast of dedication still going on or is it over with? I don't know if the feast of dedication is going on. I think it's over with, but we're not even supposed to be doing those feasts anyway. I don't know why people are doing those feasts. But that's another story. Matthew 16:27 and 28. For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels. Then he shall reward every man according to his works. That's judgment day. Verily I say unto you, there shall be some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the Son of Man come in his kingdom. He told his disciples, some of them will be alive when Judgment Day occurred. When will Judgment Day occur? When the gospel is spread throughout the nations. What happened when the gospel is spread throughout the nation? The 144,000 are sealed. All of this happened during the first century. If you are learning anything besides the Bible has been fulfilled, and the last fulfillment of the latter days was the first century, then you are learning incorrect. It's not my fault. I'm sorry. The Bible does not teach what you are learning if you are not learning what I'm saying. And y'all should concentrate on Deuteronomy. I know we like concentrating on Deuteronomy 28, but we need to really concentrate on Deuteronomy 32 because this is where all of the prophets pulled from dealing with the end of the age. Deuteronomy 32 and 33. It's all about the end of the age. And I can read Deuteronomy 32 and 43 right here. Rejoice, O ye nations, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants, and will render vengeance to his adversaries, and will be merciful unto his land and to his people. When did this happen? Let's go to Matthew 23:35. Matthew 23:35. Matthew 23:35 says that upon you may come all of the righteous blood shed upon the earth, from the blood of righteous Abel unto the blood of Zacharias, son of Barachias, whom ye, he's talking to Israel, slew between the temple and the altar. Verily I say unto you, all these things shall come upon this generation. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, that killest the prophets. Look, behold, your house is left desolate. And then it goes, he's inside of the temple prophesying against the Pharisees, the scribes and the Pharisees. Yep. He's prophesying against the scribes and Pharisees. Then he go outside and he prophesied against the temple. So in Deuteronomy 32, we see the promise of the vengeance from the Most High for them destroying the prophets. In Matthew 23, once again, we see that Christ is telling them, he's reminding them that they will be destroyed. All of the blood from Abel into Zacharias will be poured upon the Pharisees and the scribes during that generation. And now let's go to Revelation to show you that this is all talking about the same exact event. You go to Revelation 6, and we have 9 and 10. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them which were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, how long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on earth? And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that there should be rest, that they should rest yet a little season, unto their fellow servants also and their brethren should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. All of this is talking about the same exact events. Everything in the Bible, the end of the age, aka the end of the world, was about. This is a book dedicated to Israel. The Bible is a book dedicated to Israel. The Bible is actually explaining how Israel, under covenant, under specific covenants dealing with Israel came to an end, how the covenant was expanded to everybody, and there's no more world of Israel. That's what the whole Bible is about. From the beginning, it's about Israel coming to being until Israel kept being disobedient to eventually the Most High created a new type of Israel, and old Israel was destroyed. That's the end. That's the Bible. The whole Bible. Anytime somebody take you to America in the Bible, they have no idea what they're talking about. The Spirit can't be with them if they're giving you wrong information. Revelation is about the destruction of the temple in 70 AD. This is why Christ gave a prophecy about the destruction of the temple in 70 AD. And we can also look exactly what Christ said. I mean, these are Christ's words. These ain't my words. Christ told them that the destruction of the temple, when you see the abomination of desolation, then let them which are Judea flee into the mountains. We know as Israelites that's 70 AD. Well, let's see what Christ said. For then shall be great tribulation, such as not was the beginning of the world, nor shall there ever will be. This is Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble. This is the great tribulation during the destruction of the temple. And then look, immediately after the tribulation of those days, shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give off her light. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the land or earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with power and great glory. This is Christ's second coming. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. These are one of the last trumpets going off in Revelation. And look what he says. Verily I say unto you, he's talking to the disciples, this generation, which is their generation, shall not pass till all, you see the word all right there? All means all. All means everything. All means everything I just have said to you, disciples. Every single thing I have said to you will be fulfilled this generation, which is their generation in the first century. This is Christ's words. Christ told them that every single thing, including his second coming and judgment day, which has happened on his second coming, would be fulfilled during their generation. That's Christ's words, not my words. I'm not misunderstanding them. I'm not misrepresenting them. That's exactly what Christ said. So if you say Christ is lying, that's on you and your understanding. I'm showing you what Christ said. He said that the first century generation will not pass away until he returns for his second coming. So, his second coming occurred during the first generation. It opened up the new covenant, which is found in Revelation, and we are living in the kingdom age. Simple as that. There's no more Mosaic covenant. There's no more fringes. No more feasts that we got to go to. No more any of that Mosaic covenant stuff, because we are in the new covenant that's made not like Mosaic covenant, where his laws is in our hearts. Now, they're supposed to be in your hearts, but they can't be in your heart if you're telling people that they got to go back to the Mosaic covenant. If you're telling people, yeah, Christ might have said that, but he didn't mean that. Let's go back to the Mosaic covenant. Even though Christ came, did away with the Mosaic covenant, when his second return, we ain't talking about his first return. We ain't talking about when he was resurrected. We're talking about the second return. When his second return occurred, when the people were judged, when heaven opened up and came to earth, then the Mosaic covenant is gone. It's by. It's over. So for you to teach somebody that it's not, you're talking against the Bible, and you're teaching against Christ, and you're teaching against the Father. So how can the Spirit be with you if you're teaching against the Spirit? That's why I don't understand. How can we be part of camps if the camps is telling you that you got to do this, 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 and this, and all of that has been done away with? If they're not telling you that you're in the kingdom age, the Mosaic era is over with, then you are learning incorrect. It's not my fault. It's not my fault that you feel that you are still under Mosaic covenant and you got to do fringes, and you got to do the feast, and but you don't got to sacrifice. You don't got to do that. You can pick and choose whatever the Mosaic covenant you want to do, like the Most High ever said that could happen. But it's not my fault that the Bible teaches against your doctrine. I can only say what the Bible says, if that makes sense. So we do no laws. The laws were in, see, there was laws in every covenant. Mosaic covenant is not the only covenant that ever had laws. Adam had laws. Noah had laws. Abraham had laws. Isaac had laws. Jacob had laws. Moses had laws. David had laws. The new covenant has laws. You got to do what did Christ say? Christ says the two commandments that all things in general dealing with Moses leaned on anyway was love the Father above all and love your neighbor like Christ loved his disciples. Them were the two commandments where all things were built upon. That's the same commandments we have today. So yes, we have laws. You got to be baptized in order to be an heir or an inheritor to the kingdom. So yes, you got stuff that you got to do. You can't be out here unrighteous. And let me show you. This is another point when people thought that. Look, this is another point when people thought that evil was going to stop. Revelation 22. Revelation 22 says, "Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter through the gates of the city. For without are dogs, and sorcerers, and whoremongers, and murderers, and idolaters, and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie." You still can't do these things because you're going to be without the kingdom. You're going to be outside of the kingdom, outside of the spiritual kingdom that's within, that comes not with observation, that's not of this world. That kingdom you're not going to have no part of if you are a sorcerer, a dog, a whoremonger, a murderer, a adulterer, if you love and make it a lie. That's one point. The second point is, how can the kingdom exist if y'all are telling people there's going to be no more evil? People are teaching that there's going to be no more evil when the kingdom comes, where clearly you see in Revelation 22 that there's still evil outside of the kingdom. The Bible never teaches that the whole world evil is going to stop. It teaches that the people inside of the covenant, inside of the kingdom, will no longer see evil. That's all it is. I'm probably just ready to return to the kingdom. I feel you. I feel you. Hey, brother, I say inbox me, man, and come learn with us, because we're actually teaching some of, we're teaching what the Bible teach, without all of the doctrine, without all the heretics and all that stuff. We're teaching exactly what the Bible teaches. And you see how I can go to the Bible and I can show you what I'm talking about? I don't have to jump around. I don't have to connect scriptures that don't have nothing to do with each other in order to prove my point. I can read the Bible in context. Look right here. Listen to what Christ, this is what the prophecy has. "And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be." Now, who is he talking to? Behold, I come quickly. Who is he talking to? Who was this message for? This message is for verse 4. "John, to the 7 churches which are in Asia, grace be unto you from him which is, which was, and which is to come, and from the 7 spirits which are before his throne." We are reading mail that was addressed to Asia, 7 churches. Those 7 churches in the first century had the understanding that Christ was coming quickly. 2,000 years later is not quickly. We're not finna play that one day is 1,000 years and 1,000 years as one day, like we don't understand what similes and metaphors are. We're not going to play this game. He told them that he was coming quickly. How quickly was he coming? He says, "I'm going to bring my reward," right? Let's go to Matthew 16 and 28 again. Because he says, "My reward is with me." So we got to go to Matthew 16 and 28. He said, I'm coming quickly. Let's see how quickly he was coming. Matthew 16:28. He says, 16:27 and 28. For the Son of Man shall come into glory with his Father, with his angels, and then shall reward every man according to his works. Remember, he said, I'm not putting words in his mouth. Let me show you again. He says, behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according to his works. And he is saying, for the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then shall reward every man according to his works. Now, how quickly was he coming? Verily I say unto you, disciples, there be some standing here in front of him in the first century, which shall not taste of death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. He was coming quickly during the generation of his disciples. In fact, it was so quick, he told them that some of them standing there would not be dead before he came in his kingdom. Now, when did he say he was coming in his kingdom? We go to Matthew 24, verse 30, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. That's him coming in his kingdom. And when was that supposed to be around? Matthew 24, verse 2. And Jesus said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And they asked him, when shall these things be? What shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world or age? All of this is tied in together. I hope we are all seeing that now. Him saying, I'm come quickly. He was talking to the first century audience. Us looking for the 144,000. We know that came during the spreading of the gospel. Once again, remember, the gospel had to be spread first, and then the end would come. Right here, verse 14. And the gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all of the world for a witness unto all the nations, and then shall the end come. Well, 144,000 centers around the gospel being spread. Can we find the gospel being spread? Well, let's see. We can go to Colossians 1 and 23. If ye continue in the faith grounded and settled, and be not moved away from the hope of the gospel, which ye have heard, and which was preached to every creature which is under heaven, wherefore I, Paul, am made a minister. We see the gospel being spread to all nations. Paul said every creature. So we have all of the requirements during the first century for the end of the age, as well as judgment and everything else. So if you have been taught anything else that the Bible is speaking of anything outside of 70 AD dealing with the end of the age or the end of the world, which some people want to say, then you have been taught wrong. It is not my fault. It is not the Bible's fault. It's just a misrepresentation because people like to read themselves inside of documents. This document, we're reading a book about ancient Israel and what ancient Israel went through all the way up into the kingdom age that has no end. And we are inside of that kingdom age. So, I say, inbox me if you want to come study with us. We study every Monday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on an app called Zoom, Zoom. Inbox me and come listen in and actually learn what the Bible teaches so we can all be inside of the kingdom together. Because right now, it's a whole bunch of confusion and a ball of mess where we have 50 million denominations, 30,000 Hebrew Israelite groups, and we got other heretic groups, and it's uncalled for if we actually believe what the Bible says. So all you got to do is put your pride down, believe the Bible, hit me up, send me an inbox. I will give you the appropriate information. In fact, if you just want to talk and get some more things squared out, then hit me up and we can actually talk the Bible and we can further the growth of your scriptural understanding. This is what I'm presenting to you. Everything I have said, I was able to show inside of Scripture, in context. I did not have to jump around and weave scriptures together. I actually showed you the references where each scripture was pulling from in order for them people who actually got the Bible to understand the prophecies that they was hearing and reading. I used the Tanakh and I used the New Testament. I also used the Torah and the Tanakh and the New Testament. So it's up to you to say, well, this brother makes sense or this brother don't make sense. All I'm saying is send me an inbox. We can keep this knowledge growing. As y'all see, I gotta go inside. I gotta finish doing my business. Thank y'all for listening. And my inbox are open. My inbox is open. Hit me up. I like to say shalom.